The Vorsprung Telum has been one of the hardest pieces of suspension I've ever had to make a video of. Because first of all, I truly admire the brand and Steve. That's why I make YouTube videos, because I enjoyed his. Now, that being said, in the first video, there's a lot of people who are very upset with the way I made the video, and I'm sorry if it was disrespectful. Just stating my perspective of things. So I did some extensive research on the Telum. So let's jump in. Basically, the Telum is a mixture of the Cane Creek Kitsuma and the RockShox Vivid Ultimate, mixed in with some trickery from the guys over at Vorsprung. So let's say a big round of applause to Vorsprung to making such a high-end piece of suspension open source for your home mechanic like myself. Now, that being said, if this excites you, this is your shock. I'm somewhat of a hybrid nerd and I don't like that kind of stuff. So the main piston on the Vorsprung Telum is not a main piston, or I guess it is, but it's more or less a plunger almost identical to the RockShox Vivid coil shock. There's no shim stacks on this piston. It's just like a plunger. Now, Vorsprung's not stupid enough to put touchdown technology on theirs. It's just a standard plunger system. And as it plunges the oil up, all the damping is created in the head of the shock, like the Cane Creek Kitsuma. But Vorsprung, once again, is not stupid enough to make orifice-style damping. We have shim stacks in the main piston. This is kind of a hybrid shock between the RockShox Vivid Ultimate and the Cane Creek Kitsuma. So if you have a Zeb hanging off the front of your bike, I can just tell you it's an absolutely amazing upgrade from the Vivid. We'll see how it does today with the Fox 38. So it's a very plush shock with the twin tube design. That dual piston ring right here basically makes a little bit extra friction, so maybe that's why I went twin tube. I don't know for sure. So basically, let's get this puppy on the bike and let's go. Some of my favorite trails in Hood River, we're gonna start out with a chunky moto trail. And I already know this shock's gonna be amazing in the chunk because of its twin tube design, but let's see what it's all about. Find out what's going on and how this twin tube well damped shock's gonna do on some moto trails, because those are my favorite kind of trails. So let me get dressed. Okay, just so you know my stance, I'm more interested in going kite surfing after this. So okay, it is incredibly soft. So one comment from the last video said that on the tuning hub, which I have not looked into, for a 200-pound rider, you want a 475 spring. So let's go pretty extreme and ride it on 500-pound spring. So on the first run, I was on 500-pound spring because I may have been on the wrong spring in the first video. Then I basically cranked the spring up to 550 back to where I was, and then ran through this trail again. So instantly with the 550-pound spring, everything is absolutely dialed. So there's several ways to measure sag. The proper way is the actual wheel measurement, or you can like measure the stanchion. It's a very controversial subject if you like to watch technical YouTube right now. I like to basically make huge swings with the spring decks and just adjust the sag dynamically, so I don't know exactly what it is. So I don't film every second I'm riding. After about a couple hours riding these moto trails way up in the mountains above Post Canyon if you're local, I just really like this like solitude, silence type of riding. The Vorsprung Telum is a true twin tube shock like the Cane Creek Kitsuma and the older Fox DHX2. So what that means is it's very plush, supportive, each chunk amazing. I didn't even need to ride this thing a second time. I already knew it was going to be good, but I am glad I did, because it's one of the few twin tube shocks with non-orifice style damping or a very good damper. The Fox DHX2, I know it wins 100 races, but honestly the dampers, it's so-so. There's a lot of crosstalk with the rebound. The Cane Creek Kitsuma is orifice style damping. The Vorsprung, let's try to point at it, is the only twin tube shock I've ever rode with proper shim stack damping, set it and forget it, but super squishy plush twin tube feeling. This would match excellent to a coil fork. So just so you understand single versus twin tube damping, think about a sports car. I'm kind of a Toyota guy, so let's say Supra, old Supra, not German Supra. A Supra is going to have a monotube shock because it's more supportive and sporty. And then you get a minivan or maybe SUV like this one, and it will have a twin tube shock because it gives it a more plush ride. So it doesn't completely move over into mountain biking because Öhlins is able to develop twin tube shocks that are very sporty. This one doesn't have the sporty Öhlins feel, it has the twin tube feel, but being so well damped, I was very confident in this shock, especially in the chunk. So the whole point of the test track is to put these expensive dampers into an unfavorable environment and see how they do. So I didn't even need to come up here, but it is what it is. We're gonna go down to the bottom set of trails, and I'm for sure not the best mountain biker. I do like blue square jumps, but I expect when I spend so much money on a coil shock for that thing to make me either a little bit better or a little bit safer. So let's find out which one it is. Okay, there it is, high and low speed compression. And we have 3 trails. We have 1st grade, 5th grade, and middle school. So we're gonna do a couple little warm-ups, 550 pound spring on 1st grade. And basically the shock's set up for traction, like the moto trails I just rode. But the byproduct of the traction setup is it is extra playful with the super fast rebound. But today, or down here, we need to be control. So I'm gonna start here, 1st grade, couple runs here, couple runs there, and see if the Telum basically can provide me more support or more ability for its rather large price tag. Okay, the rebound's too fast for sure. So we're gonna try 6 from fully fast. Intermediate level jump line. The Telum has super good damping, and I'm gonna say it has some of the best clickers in the entire industry. By cranking the rebound almost to fully slow, there was so much additional control out of the rear end. I felt very confident going out over this steeper lip. Enough of those blue flow trails. To be perfectly honest, I'm like a trail rider. I love the backcountry. So we're going about 30 minutes north into this trail system. I'm gonna leave the name out of this one. Hands down my favorite type of terrain. The twin tube Vorsprung Telum is a true standout shock with its twin tube damper biting into the ground. True standout performance, but once again, I haven't been riding my bike very much, so I'm kind of taking my time, going slow, kind of riding like grandma. So let's flip the camera around and check out that shock. So we got some really, really impressive performance out of the Telum. I am a huge fan of this shock. Maybe a little bit critical in the first video, but wow. The hydraulic bottom out, basically keeping that shock off of the bump stop. Pretty well damped. It's not the best damper I've ever felt. If you watched the first Vorsprung Telum video, I said it's a little bit dull. So in a terrain like this, you're not going to really notice the dull feeling, and the dull feeling may actually be advantageous when you're riding challenging terrain. When I'm nitpicking a shock around the test track, that's a whole nother thing. So basically I'm coming down this trail. It's pretty familiar. I used to ride it years ago and film many videos on it. So flipping the camera around, coming down this section is absolutely the most standout area for this coil shock. Is the most challenging terrain, basically a steep rock garden. So I ride a long travel full 29-inch bike for this exact reason. Basically the bike is floating over the rocks, and the Vorsprung Telum is an absolutely amazing complement to this style of bike and that style of riding. So there's the coil shock poster, guys. Those are all the relative coil shocks for sale. So I'm still going to say the Push 11.6 is like better damped than the Vorsprung Telum, but there's a unique value proposition out of the Telum being 100% open source and easily retunable. So it's kind of funny. You don't have to watch a YouTuber and then get mad at him. Basically, the EXT E-Storia is like one of the worst shocks in the most technical terrain because it's too active. You gotta like underspring it even more than normal to get the proper levels of traction. So everything is a compromise in suspension. So my favorite coil shock probably is not as good as the Telum on that last section. But if you click this video here, you can probably find the right coil shock for you.